100.7 The Bay. You got Matt hanging out with you, joined on the phone by, no joke, my favorite comedian in the world. So happy to have you on for the second time now, the Machine, Bert Kreischer. How you doing, sir?
I am amazing. I spent last night bass fishing in Georgia. I'm in Kentucky right now. I'm making my way to Baltimore. I am having a blast.
I am very excited to have you on and very much looking forward to the Fully Loaded Tour. We spoke around this time last year talking about the Fully Loaded Tour, and it's back again. It hits Merriweather Post Pavilion Friday, June 21st with just an absolutely insane lineup. You have Adam Ray, a.k.a. Dr. Phil for the Kill Tony Initiated, Big J Okerson, Cypher Sounds, Dan Soder, Joe DeRosa, and a little bit of a homecoming for Baltimore boys, Stavi, Tony Hinchcliffe, yourself. Do you pride yourself at this point in just Avengers style assembling the most insane crew of comics possible? Because this is bonkers.
You know, when I put this together, I'm being very candid right now. I was popping, I was having a moment, and it was fun. It was fun to bring my friends out. And then all my friends started getting really famous. Now I sit at the end of this show watching these guys murder, going like, how am I going to follow this? Right. I literally pace backstage, and last week we had my buddy Jelly Roll came out and went up before me on every show.
That's so amazing.
We always get surprise guests coming out. I think Jelly's going to come out maybe the last week with Marcus King. This tour is just murderers. I mean, Stavi is at the top of his game, and he's coming out for that show, and everyone's like, yo, where are you putting him in the lineup? I know he's going to go. I mean, I want him to go last, but I know Stavi. I know Stavi's going to be like, come on, I don't want to watch the show. I want to enjoy it. But right. It's gangsters, man. It's gangsters. Big J is destroying. Dan's destroying. Tony Hinchcliffe is having a moment, man. Like he is. It's a killer lineup.
Yeah, Tony, I want to talk a little bit about the roast in just a little bit, the Tom Brady roast, because Tony had really just kind of a coming out party at that, and you were a part of that as well. I'll get to that in a few minutes, but keeping with the Fully Loaded Tour, it's basically just a big summer camp for comics, it seems like, and I know you guys try to find stuff to do in each city. You've taken batting practice at minor league ballparks and stuff like that. Do you have any special plans for when you make your way into Maryland?
Oh, we're working out at Stavi's brother's gym. Stavi's brother just opened a gym, and he's like a really great trainer. And I've seen him working out with Stavi online, and all of us, you know, my whole thing is like trying to be healthy during the day. So we're going to go over to Stavi's brother's gym and do like a legit bust our balls workout.
That's amazing, and I'm a little shocked to hear that Stavi's brother is a trainer.
Dude, Stavi's brother is jacked. Stavi's brother is like ripped. Like Stavi's last thing, he did like a workout series with his brother, and his brother was giving him notes where I was like, oh, his brother's like no joke CrossFit bro. Like he's awesome.
That's so wild. I know Baltimore is very excited. I'm sure he's going to receive the welcome of a king once he gets on that stage at Merriweather. And since we talked about Tony Hinchcliffe a minute, I want to dive into that Tom Brady roast. You and Tom Segura were a part of it. And I don't think I realized when that was announced how much of a cultural event that was going to turn into, because once it aired, you literally couldn't go anywhere without hearing about it. Do you think that that roast had any kind of like lasting impact on the state of comedy right now? Because it felt pretty awesome as a fan to see everyone in the weeks that followed so enthralled by just wild, unfiltered comedy.
I think it's been huge for comedy. I don't think any of us realized going into it. I mean, honestly, everyone tried to get out of doing it because everyone was terrified. Like, they were like, you know, it's live, that's dangerous. And then when we got done, I was in the elevator with Ted Sarandos and Robbie Praw and my wife and I think Tommy and maybe Gronk. And they were buzzing. They were the guys that run Netflix. And they were like, you don't know what just happened. I knew how big it was in the room. I knew that we murdered, but I say we, casually, let's just be very candid. I hit a double. That's it, okay? Nikki Glazer went yard. Tony Hinchcliffe went yard. Gronk went yard. Edelman
Schultz,
went
too.
yard.
Schultz, for that matter. People
Schultz,
aren't...
Dude, people sleep on how great Schultz was. Listen, I think everyone thought he killed. But you don't realize he went up at the end after everyone had wrung that dry.
Yes.
He had no jokes left to tell. Everyone had touched on everything, and he destroyed, dude. And I sat next to him for 3 hours. Me, him, and Tommy were shaking in our boots. Schultz, man, I don't think he gets the props he deserves. I know that everyone thinks he killed. Man, I said it before. I'll just say it again. If you put Schultz up earlier in the show, I think that would be the name everyone mentioned as well. I think they would be like, Schultz is the guy.
I think that's a fair point, and I know you caught a little bit of a flack online for saying that, and I don't think that it was intended to knock Nikki or anybody like that,
No.
but I do think that if Schultz is sooner, I think he gets talked about a lot more.
Dude, it's just the logistics. I'm not taking anything away from Nicky or Tony. I'm just saying that when you get your first swings at batting practice, the pitcher is fresh, and that's all I'm saying, you know?
Yeah, I think that's totally fair.
Yeah, and I think Nicky and Tony and everyone would say the same thing. It's just the logistics of a roast. Having said that, Nicky would have destroyed just as hard in Schultz's place. Nicky was killer. Nicky was insane. And there's no slight on anyone. I'm just telling you how a roast works.
Yeah, I totally understand your point there, and I think it's super valid. Moving on from the roast, which was just so much fun to watch you and Tom and everybody as a part of that, the last time you and I spoke was around this time last year, and you were deep in the heat of promoting the film The Machine, which I loved, by the way. And I remember us talking about it and saying that, you know, your kind of hope for that was that it opens the door to get more comedians to doing stuff like that. I think we might have even name-checked Schultz at one point during that conversation, and guys like Tim Dillon and stuff like that we were hoping would then get the opportunity to start doing movies and series and stuff like that. And now you look, and Shane Gillis is tearing it up with Tires. It got renewed for a season 2 before a single episode even aired. Looking back, do you think that The Machine had any kind of effect in opening that door for comedians like Shane and other guys to do what they're doing right now?
I don't think so. I mean, I think those guys were on a rocket ship. I mean, Shane is undeniable. I remember when we were shooting The Machine, Shane had just released Gillian Keeves, one of the seasons, and we were in Serbia, and I remember watching in the tent with the execs at Legendary, and they were like, who is... I mean, it was going to happen for Shane no matter what. He is so talented. Same as Schultz, same as Stavi. They're so talented. It was going to happen regardless. I think the movie did great, but so did Bill Burr's movie Dads. It crushed it on Netflix.
Right.
So I think Netflix is the reason. Netflix is the secret sauce. They trust comics to do what we do, and they allow us the room with no notes. I mean, you can watch Tires and realize no one would ever make that but Netflix.
Right.
No one. No one has the balls but Netflix. Dude, Tires just killed it. I'm telling you right now, what Shane is going to happen with Shane's career is going to be like Danny McBride on steroids.
To your point, just the ability to be able to do stuff like that without getting network notes and stuff like that, I think is huge for allowing comedians do what you guys do. So I 100% agree with that.
Oh, it's amazing. I'm working on my special right now, and they came out and watched it at the forum, and I said, any notes? And they said, nope. And I was like, are you sure? I could use a note or two.
I love that. So, look, I know you are on a tight interview schedule, so I'll let you go in just a minute, but I do have one final question for you. When we spoke around this time last year, I had an 8-month-old at the time, my first kid, and I remember asking you for some dad advice, which, to be perfectly honest with you, and this is not like blowing smoke, I think about it literally almost every day, that conversation we had. She's now a little under 2 years old, a little over a year and a half, and we have this craft beer festival that we're doing this Saturday, and me and my wife are planning on taking little Tegan to this festival, and she can't be reasoned with and just runs off. And I used to judge parents that do the leash thing for kids, and I want to get your opinion on this because I'm thinking I'm about to go back and put my kid on a leash, and I talked about this earlier in the show, and I caught a lot of flack for it. Where do you land on leash kids?
Oh, my wife's old school. My wife was the whole, they got to eat a pound of dirt before they die. So, I mean, Isla was like, it was like living with someone who had a life insurance policy on herself and was trying to collect the money. And here's the deal. Kids are resilient. It's really tough to kill them. And so let them run wild. Let them be the lunatic they are. That's the joy of parenting, is like the moments where your wife's like, you're never going to believe what happened this morning. And so I say, unleash those babies. Let them run wild. They're like wolves, man. The population is going to go down from time to time, but if you let them run wild, they'll be all over your backyard.
I love it. Well, I appreciate that advice. You just connect so well with your audience when you talk about your family and stuff like that, and I think that's what makes you the comedian that you are. So I appreciate getting to talk to you about stuff like that.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and let you go. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to hang out. The Fully Loaded Tour hits Merriweather Post Pavilion this Friday, June 21st. I'm going to be there. I can't wait. It's an absolutely stacked lineup and open invite. If you feel like stopping by the station on Friday, I'd be happy to have you in.
We're trying to work that out. We're trying to get the bus call earlier Thursday night so I can come in and do some press. I would love that, man. Thank you.
That'd be amazing. Open invite. Thank you so much for taking the time, Bert. Hope to talk to you soon.
Awesome, brother. Thank you, Matt. Take care.